What's up, guys? You are listening to a February 4th edition of the Splash Tag Podcast. That's right, it is 2-4. You'll see in a little bit why I chose to record today. And today I'm joined by a previous guest and friend of mine, Justin, who is as I said on the previous time he was on, he is a contributor for Wizards Extra. And he has also hosts his own podcast, the Real Underdogs, real as in film reel.
Co-host.
Co-host. Yeah. How you doing, man?
I'm doing okay. I appreciate you gassing me up there a little bit. I'm technically just a panelist on there, but
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Yeah. More than happy to make you sound as stellar as possible. But
As
today,
official.
so yeah, of course. So today, you and I, we've been texting a lot the last we were texting a decent amount back and forth the last couple weeks, since I've had you on in December. But the reason, for obvious, the very obvious reason why we might have been texting a lot recently was because on January 26th, as I'm sure everybody listening knows, unfortunately, Kobe Bryant passed, and it was just one of those things where I feel like anybody who is a basketball fan just will forever remember where they were and how they found out the news. So I just thought that it would be a good idea to have you on because I know we had been chatting a lot, and for us to just kind of maybe talk a little bit about Kobe and his untimely and unfortunate passing. In some ways, I was hoping this could be a little therapeutic, also just a good conversation and whatnot. So I guess to start, where are you at in terms of processing all the unfortunate news that we got?
Well, I think that the Blazers game really helped a lot of people. I think that seeing the Lakers on the court again, playing in a really good basketball game, and seeing Dame deliver a Kobe-like performance really helped people say, okay, things are normal again. They're not the same, but they're normal. And basketball is still happening, and we can enjoy this season. And I guess that's where I'm at with it. I was very broken up about it the first couple days after it happened. I remember the first day that it happened. That was crazy. It was in this group chat. It's me and a bunch of guys I went to high school with, and we have this group chat called Hoop Season. And basically, we'll all just get in the chat whenever someone wants to ball at Colin Powell Elementary School, talk about basketball or the fantasy league. But someone posted the TMZ link in there and said, "Yo, guys, this has got to be fake, right?" And I remember just seeing the message preview come up on my iPhone, and I was like, "Oh, what's going on?" And then I clicked on the link, and I was like, "Oh, wow, it seems kind of strange that it would only be here, and there's no more smoke on social media." And then I think that me, along with a lot of other people, went straight to Kobe's Twitter page, and we're just refreshing to see if he would post something to say, "Guys, it's okay. I wasn't on the helicopter." But then we all kind of realized that never came. And I went back and watched Dear Basketball. I went back and listened to some of his interviews, like the one on Jimmy Kimmel when he was talking about his daughter, Gianna, who was also on the helicopter. And I don't know. I think that for a lot of people, it affected them a lot more than they thought something like this would. But I know, Matt, you're just a gigantic Kobe fan. He was your inspiration for getting into basketball. But for me, it was a little bit different because I always liked Kobe, and I always admired him. But he was never the same idol for you, like for me, that he was for you. And I think that a lot of the reason why a lot of people had such a difficult time getting through this is because he just seemed like someone that was just larger than life. And
Hmm.
everyone had their Kobe stories. The one about the girl dad still kind of gets me. Um, man, cried a lot of real man tears over those first couple of days. But someone said something along the lines of Kobe tried to make the world bend to his will, and many times he did. I don't remember who said that, and I'd attribute it to someone if I remembered who it was. But I think that's the reason why. Just in many ways, he seemed superhuman, and the way
Hmm.
that he played the game was so beautiful. He had so many iconic moments, and in the last 2 minutes of a game, like I don't care what the effective field goal percentage was, best closer of all time.
Yeah.
Never seen anything like him. I remember um, when I would watch Kobe in late game situations growing up. The one shot that I would always remember him taking was he would drive to his right and he would pull up on the baseline while fading away. And I felt like I saw him drain that shot thousands of times. And so that image is just imprinted in my brain. And um, I know this is going to sound corny, but when the day that Kobe passed away, I laced up my shoes, got a basketball, and went out and shot around for the first time in months. And uh, I just decided to try that shot, see if I could make it. And first time, front iron. Second
it's
time,
it's a hard shot.
yeah.
It's a
Second
hard
time,
shot.
swished it. So I don't know. Uh, yeah, going out to play some basketball was very therapeutic that first day. But and I kept watching the clips over those next few days, and by the time they played the basketball game, they did the tribute, and now the trade deadline season is coming up. It feels like we're somewhat back to normal,
Yeah, I would
and
agree. I would agree for the most part.
yeah, yeah, and everyone's still gonna be sad, but um, it's like you were saying before the podcast, like we can all enjoy basketball again,
Hmm.
and I think that having that really good game between the Lakers and Portland went a long way to just helping people work through it.
Yeah. I'm actually reading between the first text between us after the news broke. It was about 30, 25 minutes ish after the news. You hit me. You told me, and I'm sure you're cool with this being uh, me mentioning this on the podcast. But you said, "I can't believe this," and then I said back to you, "I can't do this." And then you said, "I'm sick to my stomach." And I remember saying, "Just I can't do this, man,"
Yeah.
and then you mentioned that you just read your basketball again.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I don't want to talk too much about my Kobe story, but he really was my hero and the guy that got me to play basketball. I sucked initially. I just played because my mom had signed me up. And long story short, after my first season, I absolutely sucked. But that spring, I watched the 2000. It was the first time I watched the NBA playoffs. Was 2009, and so the two top dogs were Kobe and LeBron. Obviously, Kobe at that time was a little more was obviously more experienced, and he had just dealt with the heartbreak of losing to Boston. So he was kind of this man on a mission, and then obviously LeBron. They didn't get past the Magic, and so that was the first NBA Finals that I watched, and he was just the guy that I wanted to be.
Mm-hmm.
He was the guy that I really wanted to. I there was even if I couldn't quite play like him, like there were times in my there were times I played more as like big. There were times I played more on the wing, and there were times I was the primary ball handler throughout my basketball career. But the guy that I always wanted to be like in terms of just the preparation and the mindset and that competitive edge, I always wanted to be like Kobe. I never wanted to let anybody phase me. And the fact, like you said, he was kind of this larger than life, seemingly superhero because it seemed like
Hmm.
nobody could touch him. Like even when he
Yeah.
was having even when he was having bad games and stuff, people would try to talk to him and try to get up in his grill, and he was not. He would
Hmm.
step down from no one. And I think
Yeah.
one really interesting point that Jalen Rose always mentions about the 81 point game is that if you watch it, there's two things that a lot of that he points out. The first is that all of his shots, none of them are like highlight reel shots. Like they're all just regular, kind of ordinary buckets. That's the first thing because he wasn't going for like the flash and the glitz and the glamour. He was literally just trying to rip out the Toronto Raptors' hearts out that game. And then the second thing Jalen Rose always points out is that when you watch the 81 point game, Kobe literally doesn't celebrate, he doesn't gloat, he doesn't showboat. He was literally so locked in because he was so consumed on, being the best version of himself that night that he could be. And when you look at his facial expression and stuff, you can tell he's in such a zone and he is so locked in that he's not even thinking about, other people and
Hmm.
the opponents may be talking junk or trying to get in his head. And Jalen Rose has even said that's partially the reason why they didn't close, like try to cheap shot him or anything. Because if someone's giving you buckets and they're being a total dick and talking all sorts of shit, you're gonna get more handsy and physical and
Hmm.
whatnot. Just
Yeah.
maybe give them a little dirty elbow, but a quick little reach and whatnot. But when it's some dude who is just straight up giving you the smackdown and is not even, all up in your face celebrating about it because they are so locked in, that's honestly something as an opponent you have to respect. And so that's one thing about Kobe is I really always appreciated how he carried himself on the court and
Hmm.
his overall demeanor. And then obviously, after as Kobe kind of as he got older and as he came closer to the end of his career,
Hmm.
obviously we got to see him, develop more, become more multifaceted. And
Yeah.
a lot of people originally thought in maybe 2010, 2011, I remember there was a report saying like anonymous executives believe Kobe Bryant will struggle in retirement. And what's really heartbreaking is that he had that same exact kind of drive and
Hmm.
curiosity that he had when he was a player, but he was at peace with his playing career and had already moved on to trying to do things post career. And some of that obviously included being a good father and whatnot. And so that component certainly it adds an element or a perspective that makes you, I think, even if you're not a basketball fan, it makes you that much more heartbroken. And obviously, I feel as though at this point everything, a lot of things, a lot of different angles and whatnot about Kobe have been kind of hashed out in the news cycle, whether it's his basketball career, his off the court interest, being a father, even some of the more controversial things like Colorado and his kind of the how he carried himself when he was a younger player. But so I'm not here to really hash out every single facet of the story. Even I even saw today there's now articles talking about his faith and how he went to church that morning and things like that. I really just wanted to just kind of share a little bit. And like you said, it was really hard to watch basketball and just appreciate it as this beautiful sport that I love when I'm watching this sport or when I'm watching a game and I'm thinking like the guy that got me into this sport is gone. And he's like not
Hmm.
just like and he's like gone for good so unexpectedly. I don't know. I know it's cliche and I know people have said this, but it really felt like we were going to see Kobe for 50 years, as
Hmm.
an ambassador for the NBA, sitting courtside at the Lakers games every now and then, taking Jack Nicholson's
Hmm.
seat eventually. And it's just really unfortunate that like this is real life, but like you said, with the
Hmm.
Blazers game, I think that's helped the immediate shock and heartbreak
Yeah.
a little bit in the rearview mirror. Not that it's not there, because that is something I do believe I will always have every time I think about
Hmm.
Kobe, and every time I step on step on the basketball court and think about him. But
Hmm.
yeah, I'm not even really sure what I was trying to say, but definitely.
Yeah.
Obviously, it really, I was an absolute mess, just
Hmm.
as I'm sure you already knew. So
Yeah.
those first couple of days were tough, really tough, especially. But
Hmm.
one thing I will say, a lot of people have come out, and I'll let you speak in just a second. But
It's
but
okay.
a
I
lot
took a
of
lot of time at the beginning.
one thing I've heard a lot of people say on TV is that what one, not even silver lining, but one lesson is that, or one, that Kobe's passing in some ways was a wake up call for them to say, man, I need to tell the people that I care about, like, hey, like, I care about you, I love you, that, and squash any petty beefs or rifts in friendships. We've seen a lot of that. A lot of people come on TV and say that, and I absolutely agree. But one thing that definitely gave me a little comfort, I guess, was the fact that so many people had reached out to me, and I was able to talk to so many people who were feeling a similar way. And on top of that, I had actually gone home for the weekend, partially to get a medical procedure done, and also for Chinese New Year. And the fact that I was in the comfort of my own home when I heard the news, I broke down obviously, but if not that I'm happy it happened, but if it was going to happen, I'm glad I was in my own home with my parents, surrounded by my direct family who were there to console me and be there for me, as opposed to me just like taking a random nap, waking up in my dorm, and then being like surrounded by like other students,
Yeah. Yeah.
students that are younger than me, and who maybe didn't get to experience Kobe the way I did. So I'm definitely, that I think that helped a little bit. And even then, despite that, my mom, my mom was trying to comfort me and everything. I was an absolute mess, but yeah.
Mhm.
Um, let's talk about something a little on a little. I guess let's talk about the Blazers Lakers game, because you alluded to it earlier.
Mhm.
Uh, what did you, if I recall correctly, you only got to catch the ending,
I got
but
to
you
catch.
saw.
I
Yeah,
got to
go
catch
ahead.
like the last 5 minutes of the game.
Gotcha,
Yeah.
gotcha. But I'm sure, even if you didn't see it real time, I'm sure you saw LeBron's speech
Oh
and
yeah.
and all the pregame stuff. So I'm just curious, how do you feel? What'd you think of how LeBron handled that? Because I personally thought that he handled it really well.
Mhm. I thought that he handled it as well as he could have in that situation. I mean, being put in a position like that, I'm sure it's one of the toughest things he's ever had to do. Where you're essentially addressing the world about the death of not only an ambassador for his particular organization, but of the NBA and really of the world, so to speak. Um, I can't imagine what was going through his head. And the fact that he was able to play a pretty complete basketball game on the court afterwards, um, it's pretty incredible. And even though the Lakers didn't win, you know, uh, you can't fault their effort, especially during a time like that. I think that the whole organization handled everything completely amazingly, really. The
Yeah,
ceremony and
yep.
everything.
I thought it was right for the NBA to cancel that Lakers Clippers game on Tuesday. I just think the emotions would have
Hmm.
been. Oh, no, I wouldn't even. I think it would have been too short of a time for the Lakers to really process how they're going to honor him, and
Yeah.
it is. So I'm definitely glad the NBA canceled that game, especially because it's so easy to reschedule since they're both obviously share the same building. But
Hmm.
like you said, one thing I will admit, I have always been a Kobe guy. Like, Kobe has always been my favorite player. But that said, what I don't like is that in today's internet, a lot of times on the internet, people act like you like one thing, so you have to hate everything that goes against that, or you have
Hmm.
to. And so one thing that I don't like is when people try to pit it as this Kobe versus LeBron thing. So I'm gonna just say it here. Like I honestly am so impressed with LeBron the way he has handled himself since having an incredible amount of attention since he was like 15. The fact that he has
Mhm.
handled himself, carried himself with such class and professionalism, and despite all the criticism that he's gotten over the years, a lot of it very unwarranted, and the amount of pressure and hype that's been around him for him to be such a not only like exceed the hype basketball wise, but also to I would say be such a fantastic like person. I think the speech that he gave was just another. It was kind of just another instance of him displaying why he is kind of a model citizen. You know, we may not be able to be like LeBron as basketball players or as athletes for obvious reasons, but I do
Mhm.
feel like he is genuinely one of the best role models out there. So I do think that nothing. I wasn't particularly surprised that he was able to handle that and not and to get it right. But I do think that it's just another instance of LeBron being who he is.
Mhm. Yeah, completely agree.
And I guess to transition more into the basketball component, that night, I don't know I don't know how much of the highlights you got to catch, but Damian Lillard out there,
Yeah, he's just on something else
yeah,
these
I was
past
gonna
couple
say.
weeks. My God.
You know what? The point I brought up earlier about Kobe being not explicitly talking trash in the 81 point game and like kind of being locked in and being in such a zone and carrying himself
Yeah.
that way.
Yeah.
Honestly,
Dame's
I
the
get
same
those
way.
vibes from Dame. I get those vibes from Dame. I get those vibes
Mhm.
from Dame, dude. So
Yeah.
I
When
yeah
Dame's hot and he's just staring you down, there's just nothing you can do. I mean, he made Russell Westbrook look completely helpless in those, last few postseason games. I'm not saying anything bad about Russell Westbrook. I really like Russ, but you can't help but notice the contrast of, Dame just being stone cold.
yeah
And,
and
Russell Westbrook, talking trash, letting you know what's going on. And I like Russ. I really like Russ. But Dame is just different. When he's
Dame,
hot,
Dame is
he's just
different.
unstoppable.
Last couple things I want to say about Kobe since uh, you and I we're shooting to spend about 24 minutes talking
About
about him.
24 minutes.
Hopefully,
I think
hopefully
we've overshot that by a little bit.
we're
I could be
if
wrong
my
though.
if my math is right, we're at about 21, maybe
About
21 and a
21?
half
21 and a half.
about
Okay, all right. Let's
ish.
shoot for
But
this.
but one point I did want to say is Kobe obviously inspired an incredible amount of players that are in the NBA now, from guys in the G League, guys in college, to like the top elite stars. But one thing I have noticed is that every time Kobe during his career gave like a very public endorsement of a player, he's usually gotten it right if you think about it, right?
Hmm.
He said when Dame was a rookie, he said, that guy's for real. He always was a big supporter of Russ, Durant,
Hmm.
Harden, Devin Booker, and now recently he's kind of come out and showed his support for Trey Young and Luka.
Hmm.
Obviously, he inspired the next couple generations of hoopers after him. But I do feel like Kobe. Not on top of that, one thing that I feel like people maybe haven't mentioned enough is that he had an eye for when someone had the quote it factor. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the Mamba mentality.
Yeah. Like I'm just thinking. I feel like everyone that he's given a public endorsement to has really turned out. Unlike, and this is kind of a funny story. Kevin Garnett once said that Jeff Green was like a mini LeBron or something like that, and didn't quite pan out. KG, sorry, sorry,
Not quite.
KG. So
Not
I
quite.
would say if you want, I would say between
Emphasis
KG
on the mini. Heavy
and
emphasis on the mini.
between KG and Kobe and a lot of all-time greats, I do feel like Kobe really had an eye for talent. Like the Lakers maybe should have hired him as a scout or something. But yeah, that was a quick point I feel like hasn't really been talked about in the news cycle that I did want to just quickly bring up.
Hmm.
Yeah. Well, as we're approaching about the 24-minute mark on this, any last thoughts, things you wanted to just quick points, anything? Get it out.
Uh, well, I don't know. I did see something really interesting, and I do think that one of the biggest well, I guess one of the other reasons why Kobe's death hit people so hard is, he's only the third MVP ever to pass away.
Really?
It's just
Well,
Wilton Moses
Will,
Malone,
well, that's right. I did hear that
and
actually
and
recently. I don't
everyone
remember.
else is alive. We think of these NBA legends as just these 7 foot tall giants that just grow up to be,
Gray
grizzled
haired,
old
yeah, gray
legendary men.
haired.
Yeah, I mean, like seeing Bill Russell, still these days. I think that Kobe was in that class of just, larger than life, monumental figures. They were going to grow up to be ambassadors of the game, and it's just really sad that, not only that he's not going to get the chance to be that, and to also be a father and a grandfather, but also that we won't be able to see it. So
Yeah,
that was one thought that I wanted to get out.
absolutely. I feel like you and I, off the record, and I'm sure with conversations we've had with many people, we've all talked a lot of, we've all tried to process a lot of this, and obviously the, news coverage, both sports and just general news, has hit on Kobe a lot. So I will try to I'm gonna end our conversation on the record here just for today. But obviously,
Mm-hmm.
you know me. If you ever want to chat, you ever got a Kobe story, or chop it up about the Mamba, I'm always for it. And
Yeah.
really appreciate not only you just coming on the podcast today, but on top of that, really like reaching out to me, and you gave me a recommendation for a comedy special to watch, and things like that, and just sending me cool stories and articles and whatnot. I really do appreciate it, and to everybody who had reached out to me, and just kind of checked in on me. Yeah. So just wanted to say thank you, Justin.
Anytime, bro. Anytime.
And before we proceed to our next, we're gonna do 8 minutes on the trade deadline coming up in the NBA. But real quick, I just wanted to do actually, maybe let's do a 24-second moment of silence, starting. So just 24 seconds on the clock. Here we go. And yeah, rest in peace, Kobe, to the Black Mamba. Yeah, as he once said, heroes come and go, but legends are forever. And even though he unfortunately did pass away at a very young age unexpectedly, it was a very fulfilling, I'm sure, and worthwhile 41 years. So just as I'm sure many people have already said, I really do. I really am glad that he was, even though it got cut short, I really am glad that he was able to give us the years that he did give us. So, anyhow, let's try to lighten up the mood a little bit. I'll try to shoot for about 8 minutes or so. Let's talk some NBA trade deadline stuff. You down for that, Justin?
Mm-hmm.
So real quick,
Yes.
sources from this is kind of a new development. Sources, aka Kevin O'Connor tweets, sources, if D'Angelo Russell ends up in Minnesota, Andrew Wiggins will go to the Warriors.
Yes.
What the
Yes.
hell? Let's talk about this. Let's talk
I
about
love
this.
it. I
Okay.
love that trade for the Warriors. I love it.
Okay.
I love every bit of it, and I'm in the minority. I love Wiggins.
You love Wiggins.
I
Okay.
love Wiggins. I love
I-
Wiggins. I think that in the right situation, I think he can pop off.
Okay.
I really think he can. Because if you think about it, he's been in a turbulent situation every single year he's been in the league, really.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. He was the guy on a really bad team his rookie year. And
Yep.
they were gassing him up and everything. And then all of a sudden, he's just kind of the number 2 guy as soon as Cat comes in.
And then he becomes number 3 not long after.
And then he
Jimmy
has
Butler.
to deal with Jimmy Butler, who I mean, dealing with Jimmy Butler having to deal with a bunch of young kids, that's not an ideal situation. I don't think that Jimmy Butler You have to be a special type of rookie to be able to play with Jimmy Butler, or a special
I would
type of young
agree.
player.
I would agree. So my quick thoughts
Yeah.
are, I think the Wolves simply just made a mistake by maxing him before Jimmy Butler and him played a game together. And apparently the Wolves owner just asked him if he would try harder, and then he was like, "Yeah," and then he got the extension. That's
Yeah,
that's
I
the
remember
urban
that.
legend. So I think
Yeah.
that's obviously that's incredibly incompetent decision making, in my opinion. But anyways, besides that, I agree with you. I don't think he's unredeemable. The one reason I don't like it, so if there is a system and a culture and personnel that is going to redeem Andrew Wiggins, it's probably Steph Curry, Klay Thompson,
Yeah,
Draymond Green, and Steve Kerr. I agree with you
it was
there.
either going to be Golden State or San Antonio. Yeah, that's why
I agree.
I was really interested in the Kawhi rumors because Kawhi was rumored to go to Minnesota, and Wiggins probably would have been the piece that went back, or
You
one of the main
mean when he
pieces.
was leaving San
When he
Antonio?
was leaving San Antonio, Minnesota was a rumored destination. Um,
Ah, I
and
didn't. Oh wait, I do faintly remember that. Yeah,
and if it had been Wiggins going to
San
San
Antonio,
Antonio to play with like DeJounte Murray, Derek White,
Pop,
LaMarcus
and
Aldridge,
obviously Pop.
and
Yeah,
Pop. I really like that for Wiggins' career. I mean, obviously that didn't happen, but um, I really like this trade. I'm gonna tell you why I
okay,
like the trade because
yeah.
let's just consider for a second if D'Angelo Russell is still with the Warriors next year. All right, they're gonna have a starting lineup of Steph, D'Lo, Clay, Draymond, and
Some big, maybe James
some
Wiseman, but we don't
maybe
know. We don't
maybe
know.
James Wiseman or uh, Kevon Looney, I suppose, would be the starter in that situation, or maybe someone else. I don't know. Who's their starting center
Yeah,
right now? Actually, because it was
and it was Cauley
it was
Stein, but
Cauley
they
Stein.
just
They
traded
traded
him.
him. Um,
God, is it
who's the,
is
is
Looney?
it Marquise
Is it
Chris?
Marquise Chris? I was gonna say it.
It could be
God
Marquise
damn.
Chris. He's actually been pretty good this year.
Yeah,
He's been pretty solid. He'll be a solid like energy big for them next year if they want to bring him back. Um, so if you think
yeah,
that lineup is so small, it's
yeah.
so small, and the
So
defense
they could use a wing for sure. I definitely see the need
and
component from
I don't
Golden
think
State
that
side.
I think that Clay's defensive value is significantly decreased when he's guarding threes instead of twos.
I would agree.
So you're losing defense from both positions. And even though Wiggins hasn't shown an ability to defend so far in his pro career,
It in theory is there.
like yeah, I
In
mean
theory, it's yeah,
he has the athletic gift to be able to stop some guys, even if he's a little
yeah,
bit on the smaller side or skinnier side to guard some bigger wings. By shifting
yeah,
Clay to the two, your defense is going to be so much better than it would be with having Clay at the three and D'Lo at the two. Even though D'Lo is probably a marginally better defender than Wiggins, mostly just because he has a little bit better court awareness.
yeah,
Um, I just think that if you're going to have Draymond at the four, you have to be able to make up the size somewhere because when they want to go small, you can't have Draymond literally be the tallest player on the court.
yeah. At least
Yeah,
82 games a
no.
season. You know.
No, because if you're going to close with a small lineup of, for instance, they're not going to have Alec Burks after this season, but say that they close next year with Steph Curry, D'Lo, Clay, Damian Lee, and Draymond. That's not going to work. They're just going to
Yeah,
get destroyed.
yeah. Probably not.
That's not going to be able to cover anyone. So I think that the main reason why the old Warriors small ball lineups worked is because they had Iguodala and Harrison Barnes in there, two
Hmm.
rangy, long guys who
Yeah.
could kind of make up for the lack of length from Draymond at the center position.
Speaking of Andre Iguodala, your quick thoughts on where he ends up, if or what how his situation plays out.
He is going to sit out.
You think he's sitting out the season?
I think he's sitting out the season. I don't think that any team's going to want to give anything up for him because they're going to
Or
bet. that
Would
Memphis is going to
Memphis
buy him out,
would
but I
Memphis
don't
take?
think.
Do you think Memphis would take like a second round pick
Well,
and like two assets, like a second round pick and a young player?
well, I mean, they would, but they also have to take back another expiring deal, most likely. I
That's
mean,
that's true.
the problem is that you're essentially trading expiring deals, and so in order to do that, the other team would probably have to send like a pretty decent asset the other way, um,
So
and
uh,
and they could use
yeah,
that expiring deal to for a lot of other things other than just acquiring another expiring deal that you would have to throw in something extra for. And
yeah.
I think that most teams who want to acquire Iguodala are just going to bet on Memphis doing a buyout to save face. But I don't
Hmm.
think they're going to do that. And when they don't do
Yeah.
that, then I think that he's just going to become a free agent, go back to the Warriors on a league minimum, and
Do you think the Warriors?
yeah, I don't know, maybe or the Lakers or the
So my thought
Clippers.
is if he gets
I don't know
what's
the
it called?
Sixers. Who knows?
I was gonna say
Coming.
If he gets Ben Gordon where he gets waived after like the playoff eligible
Hmm.
deadline,
Yeah.
I feel like he's gonna go to the Warriors. But if not, see, actually, I think if he doesn't get traded, I think
Mhm.
the Grizzlies might buy him out, but buy him out after the
Uh,
playoff eligibility deadline
yeah.
as like a fuck you, you know?
Yeah, either that or just hold on to him to the end of the season. I was more just talking about what he would do as a free agent in the summer.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, yeah, like
yeah,
go to
that
Golden
makes
State. Yeah.
yeah that's yeah I would agree. I guess next question to you is who do you think is the biggest name that gets moved?
Basically, well, I mean, it's got to be D'Lo, don't
D'Lo,
you think? Well, I mean,
or,
who do you
are we?
think's the?
I was gonna
Hmm?
say it's got to be D'Lo or Capella, right?
It's either D'Lo or Capella, and they could all be going in the same deal if that 4-team
That's
trade
also
deal is the
true.
thing. Um, and I saw a rumor, it might have died down, that John Collins was also involved in that trade.
Oh,
Um,
oh, okay.
I saw one iteration of the trade where the Warriors give up Looney and Russell and get back Wiggins and Collins.
Oh, now
And
that's interesting.
I don't know if that happens.
That's younger. That makes Golden State younger, but
It makes Golden State younger, and it probably means that they can trade that pick that they get
yeah,
if they really wanted to go all in on contending, because they would get under the luxury tax. They wouldn't be hard capped anymore, really, or they wouldn't have to pay the repeater tax, and they'd basically just be free to do whatever they want.
yeah.
Um,
I didn't realize John Collins might be on the move. I know that Drummond might be on the move, but I don't know who quite wants him when he's expiring. Do you think Kuzma gets moved?
no,
I don't think so either
I don't think his
because
value is high enough,
I don't
honestly.
think his value is high enough, but I also think that it's too hard when he makes so little because he's still in his
Mhm.
rookie because he's a late first round pick. So
Yeah. I mean, it would have
he,
to be for like a small expiring and like some picks, and I don't think
yeah,
he's valuable enough.
exactly. So I don't think Kuzma's on the move, and
Uh,
I think Drummond is also. I feel like Drummond is gonna be stay in Detroit for the opposite reason, where I just don't know if anyone wants to give up assets when he's expiring. Gonna be a free agent, obviously, and
mhm.
obviously makes a lot of money, so you have to unload decent amount.
Yeah, yeah. I'll tell you what though, like some team is gonna sign Andre Drummond for 15 million a year and get an absolute steal. I
Yeah,
think because
I think
he's a
he's an
really good
all
basketball
star.
player. Yeah, he just makes a lot of money, and he plays a position that's just not that valued in today's NBA.
Yeah,
I mean, he's a big that doesn't really do anything other than rebound and play defense and post up a little bit, but he has no floor game really.
yeah,
Uh, but some team's gonna give him like a 2-year, $32 million deal, and they're gonna get a steal.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah.
So we've gone over 8 minutes, but I'm gonna just keep it going. Just cause there's a couple other things I wanted to touch on. But real quick, do you think do you think sorry, Kevin Love, I think we both probably agree here. He probably doesn't get moved because the
No,
Cavs want an asset
and they're not
to
gonna get one.
and they're not going to get one because the way other teams are looking at it is that they're thinking, no, we're taking on a bunch of money for a guy who has an injury history. You should give us, second round pick or whatever the case may be. So I
And
feel like there's a misalignment on how Kevin Love is viewed between there's a difference between how the Cavs are looking at it and how the rest of the league is looking at it.
the Cavs are an absolute mess.
Yep.
They're a mess, and I don't really know how they get out of it. I wouldn't be surprised if they look at a Colin Sexton trade eventually, because
Wow.
I think he's playing better than he probably actually is, or he's at least produced. He seems like a good stats, bad team guy. Like, I know that that's kind of a tired phrase at this point, but he seems like someone who is best suited to be just kind of a sixth man, Jordan Clarkson like kind of
Do you,
player.
you would buy Garland stock over Sexton stock?
I think that Sexton is just worth a lot more.
You
I
think
think
he's
he,
worth more? Okay.
I think he's
But
worth. I think he's worth quite a bit more. I mean, he's averaging like 19-20 a game, right?
on yeah,
And his the shooting splits are pretty good. I mean, he doesn't play any defense, but I mean, you could convince some team to take 20 points a night for
yeah.
a pretty solid asset.
On that said, I personally would rather have Sexton than Garland. That's just me though.
Uh,
And I do feel like because Garland, granted, I don't think you shop Garland this year. It's more so next year or maybe his third year if you don't believe in him that you start to sniff around. And to be
Yeah.
fair, Garland does have quite a learning curve to
Hmm. I mean, he
you
didn't
know
even play in college,
that's
really.
what I'm saying. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's already hard enough to become to adjust to being a point guard in the NBA, and the fact that he played 5 games at Vanderbilt, I think, is not
Yeah, I mean,
exactly
like a lot
helping.
of people thought he was the next Kyrie Irving.
Some people thought that. I,
Yeah.
I, I didn't quite see that. I didn't quite see that. And I did watch one game. I think I watched one. I think I just watched one game of his at Vanderbilt. But um, unrelated, real quick, random or unrelated, but Michigan State, Penn State is a 1 point game with 10 seconds to go.
Oh, really?
And oh shit, the dude just fouled Cassius Winston, so he's taking a free throw to tie the game. Hang on,
Oh,
I'm
wow.
sorry. I'm getting this game up real quick. Okay. Oh, Cassius missed. So
Oh, he
Penn State's up
missed?
one. Penn State's
Oh,
up one.
wow.
Not quite what you would expect from Cassius, but I will not. So are they gonna foul? I'm looking at the box score. Okay. So he makes the. Okay, I'm streaming it now. Sorry. Makes the layup 11 seconds ago, and then he. This is at. Hang on, real quick. This is at the Breslin Center too. So if Penn State pulls this off, that would be very impressive. So okay, misses and they foul right away. Sorry, I
Yeah,
just want to watch. I want to watch these last 9 seconds.
this is a lesson to all of those college ADs out there.
Yeah,
Sometimes you don't have to fire the coach.
you're talking about Pat Chambers, I assume.
Talking about Pat Chambers. You don't
Well,
always have to fire the coach. Like,
yeah,
Pat Chambers was terrible for almost his entire time at Penn State, but he finally got some consistency. He got a group of old guys together that have
Lamar
played
Stevens
together,
is good. Lamar
yeah,
Stevens is good.
that developed an identity, and he eventually got some recruits in that bought into the philosophy. And
It's a hard
maybe they,
job.
it's
Penn
it's a
State's
tough
a hard job. Very
it's a
hard
tough
job.
job, and uh, 2 free throws. It looks like they might pull this out unless they got a three in them. Does Michigan State have to go the length of the court? I just have
I
the
think so. Yeah. Sorry.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's
So they
gonna be
just
tough.
called timeout. Real quick point. I
Well,
guess we're
hey, wait,
trans. Yeah. Go
wait.
ahead.
quick question. Where are you on the debate of foul them before the shot? Up 3.
I think as long as I think this might come off corny, but I think it's situational, and here's what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
If you know a team is like let's say I'm talking like Splash Bros, like Golden State, like
Yeah.
that they're incredibly lethal for three, then I can understand, okay, let's foul, or sorry, not yeah, let's foul, make them earn it. But I do feel like with these things sometimes we tend to have, hindsight is 2020. So I feel like, for instance, I know Roy Williams has gotten shit on
Mm-hmm.
for not fouling up three against, I think it was Clemson. I really feel like it's situational in terms of how much time, like how good of a shot do you think they can get off? If
Mm-hmm.
it's like say they got 5 seconds left,
Mm-hmm.
and they got to go the length of the court, like let them panic. So I really do think it's situational, but I also don't mind if a coach is consistent with their how they do it. I know Doc Rivers is very consistent with it,
Mm-hmm.
and I know some coaches consistently don't foul up three. And sometimes it can backfire, like Purdue against UVA, obviously. Now, granted, that was a lot of luck in terms of the ball bouncing. Oh, damn, Cassius missed the three for the win.
Ooh, man.
Sorry, for the
Penn
tie,
State.
for the tie, for the tie. So Penn State's gonna get a win at the Breslin Center, which
Wow. When was the last time
ain't.
they did that?
Who would have thought that at this point in the season, Michigan State would have 7 losses and Penn State would have 5?
I mean, look, Lamar Stevens has just always been a really solid player.
Yeah,
And, I mean, this team's pretty good. You don't always have
yeah,
to fire the coach.
yeah. Uh,
They made a big mistake because they had this group coming back. I mean, if they had fired the coach and, like, a bunch of the upperclassmen entered the portal, then they're just starting over.
yeah.
Someone doesn't always have to be fired.
I agree. On that note, though, I will say if it feels like you're not getting much momentum, then I can understand cutting ties. For instance, you and I talked a little bit earlier before we recorded about Shaka Smart.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like Shaka, if they, I'm not advocating for Shaka to get fired, but I feel like if he does, I would totally understand.
They won the NIT though. Hey, that's
Apparently
something.
that it is something, but I do think it is interesting when they for 3 years in a row they have a lottery big man, all American, one and done, big man that goes in the lottery, and what do they have to account for it? It's a single NCAA tournament appearance, lost in the first round in a game that they should have won, by the way, against Nevada.
Nevada, yeah, I remember that
Uh,
game.
and then two
That was the
other.
Mo Bamba team, right?
Yeah. Otherwise, last season's team I thought was kind of disappointing. That for the Jared Allen team, I could understand. The Jared Allen team, I could understand why they were not particularly great, but the I expected a little more from the Jackson Hayes team. I'm just saying because I've always liked Coleman and Kerwin Roach, but
Mm-hmm. Well, Curry Roach was suspended for a while, wasn't he?
was that someone else? It might have been Jericho Sims. I forget.
Maybe, I don't know,
But
but
anyhow, enough Shaka talk. I guess to wrap things up, my question to you is which team do you think is going to be the big winner of the trade deadline?
which team's going to be the big winner? Oh, that's so tough because so many different things could happen.
Before you answer, because I think you're thinking,
Yeah.
I'm gonna just say, I honestly think that there's gonna be like one like whoa like big deal, and then a bunch of like salary finessing,
Mm-hmm.
and then a couple like role players for role players type trades.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is gonna be as crazy as because I remember in the offseason people were thinking like, oh, the fact that there's all these players being moved and they can be traded starting December 15th, there's gonna be all sorts of movement, but I
Yeah,
don't
like
I don't know if
not much
that's the
stuff has really
case.
happened.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know if that's the case. Like I wouldn't be surprised if we see another like Jordan Clarkson for Dante Exum type deal.
Jordan Clarkson's been really good.
He's been good, but like I said, he's not like he doesn't. When you see on the ticker, Jordan Clarkson's been traded. You're not like whoa, like you're like okay. And,
Yeah,
and speaking of Jordan Clarkson for Dante Exum, is Exum even doing? Is he even in the Cavs rotation?
I think
Like
he's in the rotation,
I'm
but
looking at his. Apparently, he's averaging 2 points a game this season, and uh, he has 4 points in his 17 points in his last 3 games. Damn,
yeah,
he's had some tough luck with injuries.
yeah, but he just didn't pan out, and now he went to a Cavs team that's just loaded with guards. It's not a good situation for him. I mean, when you've got like Darius Garland and Kevin Porter Jr. as rookies, and you've got Colin Sexton as a second-year player, it's tough. That's just tough.
Tough luck.
Huh?
Sorry, I was saying. Apparently, he had a career high earlier in January.
Hmm. Yeah,
Anyhow,
I
sorry.
don't know. I think that I don't know. If I were the Jazz, I'd consider buying. I'd really want to buy if I were the Jazz. I don't really know what they have to sell, but if you could,
Do you think they could get Actually, no. I'm thinking. What type of player do you think moves the needle for the Jazz though?
honestly, I think that if they could, well, okay, let's see. Their starting lineup right now is what? It's Conley if healthy, Mitchell, Ingles, Bogdanovich, and Gobert, right?
Yeah.
It's so hard because Ingles is so good, but I just wonder how much better they would be if they got a little bit more length on the wing.
Yeah.
Because playing Bogdanovich at the four, I, I mean, he's played insanely well this year, and his defense is a lot better than people give him credit for. But I don't know if they could find a way to flip Conley in an asset for a really good long wing. That team would be really interesting.
Huh? Maybe like hmm. Thoughts on like a Markieff Morris
What's on a Markieff Morris?
for
Well, they're not.
Utah. For
Uh,
Utah.
I don't think that moves the needle enough.
Not enough. Okay.
Well,
I, I'm just looking at some rumors.
yeah, I don't know. I mean, Markieff Morris would cost almost nothing for them to get, but
Yep. Second round pick and something else.
second round pick, and they might. I
Like
don't know.
Zeller.
I don't know if Utah's cap space or anything, but um, what about something like um
Did they get
Conley in
yeah.
2 seconds for Otto Porter?
Oh,
That's getting spicy.
that would be spicy.
And
Obviously,
you could have a
yeah.
starting lineup of like Jordan Clarkson, um, Donovan Mitchell, and then two of Porter, Ingles, and Bogdanovich with Gobert, and then you would have Moutier as the backup point guard exclusively. And then one of Bogdanovich, Ingles, or Porter would be on the bench, and then you would have guys like, I guess, who's the backup center? Tony Bradley. I don't know if he plays. I don't know.
Does he even play?
I have no idea. I don't know that much about the Jazz, but
I haven't heard that name in a minute. But Ed Davis is getting some run.
Ed Davis. I, I don't know. I think that team would be really good.
Yeah,
if they,
I mean, I
if they
think
did, if they
they're
did a deal
good.
like that.
I think they're good as is, but I agree with you that they have room to get better, obviously, at the deadline. So
And even though I think Conley is gonna figure it out, I just think it's kind of an awkward construction because Mitchell really needs the ball in his hands to be
Mhm.
good. Ingles is also a pretty natural facilitator who plays
Yeah.
quite a bit of a point guard like role when he's in the game, and it's just kind of awkward to find space for a guy like Conley, to get the ball and be able to create. So
Yeah.
I don't
No,
know.
that's fair. That's fair.
I think that because I remember Utah had interest in Otto Porter back when he was a restricted free agent. So
Oh yeah, yeah, that's right.
they were looking for a guy to replace Gordon Hayward. They put in an inquiry. There was a meeting with Otto Porter apparently.
Yeah.
So that trade's never going to happen in a million years, but I think it'd be interesting if it did.
That would be spicy. That would make me pause and be like, whoa, hold up.
Yeah.
If it were to happen, but
Yeah, I don't think it actually helps. It would be one thing if Conley was an expiring contract, but I'm pretty sure he's not. So
yeah, he's got two. Well, he's got 1 year after this year, so
he's got 1 year after this year. Yeah.
yeah, not terrible, but anyhow, I've kept you around long enough, so I guess I'll end our conversation there. But guess we'll see what happens this Thursday. I'm sure we'll be texting a decent amount, just if anything big happens, or if nothing happens, I'll shoot you a message and say, hey, like I said, a little told you so moment, but we'll see. We'll see. Well, I want to thank you for joining me today, Justin. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, this is great.
Yeah, hopefully I'll have you back on soon again to do some college talk because the tournament's getting closer.
Yeah, and Virginia Tech's been some trash.
I was gonna. I did look yesterday that they were on a little skid, but
oh man,
um,
I think it's just a bunch of guys hitting the freshman wall.
yeah,
And yeah, I don't know. Landers Nolly's not been good at all the last couple weeks. I don't know what's going on. I'll tell you what though, mark my words, and I don't know how many people listen to this podcast, but
let's hear it.
I think of the young guys on Virginia Tech, I think Naheem Aline is going to turn out to be the best player. I think Naheem Aline, if he can work on his right hand, I love that guy's game. He's a scorer. He's not afraid to take the shot. He had one of the most insane dunks I've seen live when I was watching the Florida State game down in Blacksburg. Depressing game to watch, but that was a really, really great dunk. I don't know.
Okay.
That guy's a hooper.
I guess I'll tune in and see.
Yeah, so mark my words. Like in like 2 years or something, he's gonna be one of the best players in the ACC.
All
Book
right.
it.
2022. I'll
Book
check.
it.
I'll take a look. But yeah, thanks once again. Thank you, Justin, for joining me. And then for those of you listening, appreciate you listening. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe on whatever podcast medium you're listening to the podcast on, whether it's Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, Spotify, or YouTube. Once again, appreciate you listening, and we'll catch you soon.